Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something huge, the future of English, specifically where it's heading by, say, 2025.
Yeah.
We've got some fascinating source material here outlining some really key trends that are reshaping how we all communicate.
That's right. English, it's been this global connector for ages.
The lingua franca, yeah.
But it's changing fast. And the question is, how? Is it breaking apart? Or maybe simplifying?
What does English even mean soon? It affects pretty much everyone listening, right? Anyone who speaks it, learns it, uses it daily.
Mm-hmm. And our mission here really is to dig into that, to pull out the crucial bits about how tech, culture, society, how they're all mixing things up for English. And look, this isn't just academic talk. Understanding these shifts, it's kind of a shortcut, to being genuinely informed about this language billions use.
And why it matters to you right now.
Exactly, how it impacts your place in the world, really.
Okay, let's dive in. First big thing, AI. Artificial intelligence and these advanced language learning tools. We've all seen things like ChatGPT, Google Translate. But they already made waves, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. They've started a revolution in learning and communication. But looking towards 2025, it gets even more interesting. These tools are set to become way more sophisticated. Think truly personalized learning paths. Real-time conversations with AI.
Wow.
Instant error correction, super specific feedback on your pronunciation, your grammar.
So less like a textbook, more like a personal tutor.
Exactly. A shift from maybe traditional classrooms to these really interactive lessons with an AI partner. It makes you question what fluency or mastery even looks like then.
Yeah, does it become less about rules and more about nuance, culture? The stuff AI maybe struggles with.
That could be a big part of it. Expertise might shift towards understanding context, subtlety, the human element.
Incredible potential there. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How might you, listening right now, learn a language differently or even just get better at English? Okay, and this digital wave leads us right into the next trend. This push for, well, shorter, simpler communication. Social media, texting, chat apps, they're driving this culture of get to the point, right? Efficiency.
Absolutely. And it's not just about being efficient, it's actually changing the shape of English. We're already swimming in emojis, abbreviations, informal stuff like LOL, BRB.
Can't escape it.
And that's only going to intensify by 2025. Expect even more slang, more acronyms, more shorthand creeping into everyday use. Formal grammar, sure, it'll still be taught in schools, but the reality, informal language is likely to dominate digitally and face-to-face.
So faster, maybe easier,
Yeah.
but do we lose something? Nuance.
That's the potential trade-off, isn't it? This drive for brevity. It could sort of devalue complex expression in everyday chat, maybe language optimized for speed over, well, depth.
You just have to look at your own texts, I suppose. We all do it. And this trend feels even bigger when you consider this next point, which is, frankly, mind-blowing. By 2025, most English speakers won't be native speakers.
That's a huge demographic shift. And it begs the question, like you said earlier, what is English then? It brings up this idea of globish. Heard of that?
A little. Like a simplified English.
Sort of, yeah.
That's
A
right.
streamlined version, easier for global understanding. Think simpler grammar, fewer idioms, maybe a core vocabulary of, say, 1,500 common words. It's not bad English, it's optimized for people from different backgrounds to understand each other. Countries like China, India, Brazil, millions learning English, they're big drivers, adapting it.
Adapting it to their own needs.
Exactly. Their cultural context, their communication styles. So what does that mean for us? Expect way more diversity. Yeah. Accents, expressions, cultural references. We already see British, American, India, or African Englishes influencing vocabulary, pronunciation, even grammar globally.
So new dialects might emerge.
It's very possible. New sort of Englishes shaped by regional influences becoming more prominent worldwide.
It really changes the whole picture of what standard English even is. It's not just about learning it, but understanding these evolving versions.
Precisely.
And all this interaction. Through tech, travel, media, it's blurring lines between languages too, isn't it?
Yeah.
English often ends up being the default online.
It does. And that leads to something called code switching. You see it all the time with bilingual or multilingual speakers.
And mixing languages mid-conversation.
Yeah, fluidly blending them in the same sentence. Think Taglish in the Philippines, Tagalog, and English mixed together.
Right.
And the crucial thing is sometimes these aren't just temporary mixes. These hybrid forms can actually develop their own grammar, vocabulary, their own cultural markers.
Wow, so not just mixing, but creating something new.
Potentially, yes. Enriching the whole global linguistic landscape.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, circling back to the digital world again.
Mm.
We use language differently now, right? Video calls, voice assistants, social media. And that visual element, memes, GIFs, emojis, it's just exploded.
Mm.
How's that changing communication?
Well, some people talk about emojified English, communication becoming multimodal.
Multimodal, meaning
Combining words and images, using visuals to carry meaning, tone, emotion alongside the text. Being digitally fluent, knowing how to use these visuals effectively, might become as important as traditional language fluency.
it's kind of ironic, isn't it? AI gets smarter, more complex,
Right.
and our human communication seems to be leaning towards visuals, shorthand.
It's a strange tension, yeah. Expressing ourselves visually, dynamically.
Again, just look at your phone. How much of your communication is purely text anymore? Probably not that much.
True.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. English in the workplace, professional settings. Globalization is speeding up. How does English keep up there?
Well, it gets more specialized. Think international business, science, politics. English becomes tailored. We see the rise of specialized English, business English, medical English, legal English.
With its own jargon.
Exactly. Loads of industry-specific jargon becomes common currency within those fields. So it creates this more complex layer of the language. You need the general English plus this very specific vocabulary for your field.
So it's simplifying in some ways with Globish,
Right.
but getting more complex in others.
That's the tension, yes.
Yeah.
Simplification for broad reach, specialization for professional depth.
Definitely something to think about for, your own career or any global interactions you might have. Mastering that specific language is key.
Crucial.
Okay, finally,
Okay.
let's talk accents. Historically, there's been this idea of standard English, like received pronunciation in the UK or General American. Prestigious accents. What happens to that idea when the language landscape is changing so much?
That's a really important question for global communication, isn't it? By 2025, I think there'll be an undeniable, much wider acceptance and embrace even of a broader range of accents.
So less focus on one correct way.
Exactly. The idea of correct English is shifting. It's becoming more inclusive. Global Englishes, diverse accents, different pronunciations, they'll increasingly be seen as a strength.
As long as you can be understood.
That's the key. Clarity in communication. Effective understanding becomes the priority, not sticking to one historical standard that most speakers don't actually use.
So it's about connection, not barriers.
Yeah.
Embracing that global reality.
Well put.
Okay, let's try and bring this all together. The future of English.
Mm.
It's clearly being pulled and pushed by technology, globalization, cultural mixing. It's getting more personal, more inclusive, definitely more flexible.
And we see that tension. Simplification for global understanding, like Globish.
Right?
But also deeper specialization for professional needs.
Yeah.
And all of it wrapped up with new visual ways of communicating.
It's dynamic, that's for sure.
And for everyone listening, learners, speakers, it's actually a pretty exciting time. It's not just about nailing grammar rules anymore. It's more about embracing this flexibility, using English in whatever form to connect with people, all sorts of people all over the world.
The language is literally evolving right in front of us.
It is.
So the next few years, they promise to be really transformative for English. And as learners, as speakers, as communicators, you have a role in that. You're part of shaping it. Makes you think, doesn't it? What role will you play in this changing linguistic world?